doing all roll chart navigation.
Oh, what navigation?
Roll chart.
Okay. That works great if you have an accurate odometer.
You might just have rolled out of the frame.
Do what?
You moved your seat. I don't know if you're still in the frame now.
Oh, well, I don't know. I hit this, so.
Well, look in the camera. Are you centered up on the lens?
Can't see anything in the camera.
Well, you can see where the lens is pointed.
I can't tell whether I'm in the middle of it or not, though.
Give me 1 second.
Well, let me stick my thumb up there and see if I can get the thumb inside there. I don't think it's in the
No,
middle.
you need to
anymore.
move. All right.
Because if I go any closer, what happens was I hit this.
All right.
Is this thing on? I gotta hit the microphone.
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Give me a second, because we were going to
Check on the Athens 100.
Athens 100. It's done by a guy named Gus. He's a good dude. August 26th.
It's 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. Pre-1980 bikes. About 100 miles of off-road stuff, and then there's camping afterwards. I do it, but I don't have a pre-1980 bike. Plus, I've been off the bike for about 2 years, and I'm not going to ride 100 miles off-road with other people. I'm not feeling that.
Mikey has brought his motorcycle in. He had forgotten he had one, but he remembered recently, so it's in here today, and he's started on working on it today.
Yeah, I finally am starting to get it running. We just re-shimmed the final drive.
Yeah, we shimmed too tight, we decided.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
took it
solved the
off
problem.
and I felt it.
Yep.
And it was too hard to turn.
Yeah, bearings felt good, backlash felt good, so.
Honestly, best case scenario, because it's not a cheap final drive. The 3711 3-lug.
Well, 3 lugs only came in 3711 or 3210, so 3210's like finding hen's teeth. 3711 at least came on a couple different bikes.
We have different theories about this. Have we ever gotten into the 3210 debate?
We can have the 3210 debate if you want.
I believe that there was the 3210 was only a dealer option. They sent 3210 ring and pinions to dealers to put on our ADSTs, but I don't know.
Well, it would have been the whole rear drive, because they're stamped 3210 on the, unless they sent them blank cases, which I doubt, because you can take any case and ship it to anything you want.
Regardless, neither of us have seen a 3210.
No, that's not true. I had one, and I bought one from BMW.
I've heard a lot about this final drive, and I've never seen it ever. What I was going to say is neither of us have seen one in at least 5 years.
Correct. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it was for the ST, 82 and 83, which was the street version of this bike. Which is why they're hard to find also, because they only made the ST for 2 years. And so 3210s, but if you look on the fish, it used to list both the 3210 and the 3711. And I bought a 3210 7 or 8 years ago from BMW for $1,200. I waited for 2 or 3 years, and finally they had some, and I ordered one and I got it. But I ended up taking it off and selling it when I went to the tubeless tires and put the different rear drive on the back, so I don't have it anymore.
Regardless of how it came, they're super rare, and it would be awesome. But
we could possibly buy a ring and pinion set and build one. I'm not sure they're even
equally
available.
as rare.
Yep, I agree. I agree. So,
anyways,
most people
but
just deal with
the
it.
point of the story was it would have been really heartbreaking to open up that final drive and see something
Broken.
terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Because that probably would have been the end of me trying to get my bike running.
But look at the good side of it. I didn't get to buy it back from you for the same cheap price I sold it to you for 5 years ago. It was like $1,500. That's the one I bought right from Texas or something. You wanted it, so I sold it to you for what I had in it.
No, you
You got it for what I paid for
you
it.
made a $500 profit off of me.
Did I finance you too?
Here's what happened. I found this bike in Texas. And I said, that's a good deal for an RDST. Let's buy it as a shop bike. It was $1,500. This was a long time ago. It cost $500 to ship it here. When I got it here, I said, I like that. I want it. and Nathan charged me $2,500 for it. So you did make a profit. You just didn't make as much of a profit as you would have.
Did I take it out of your pay, or did you pay me all at once?
You took it out of my pay.
Right, so there was a finance charge.
There you go. Well, the deal was you sold it to me for $2,500, but then we have to split the profits
If and when you sell it.
if
Right.
and when I
Right.
sell it, which is why I'm never going to sell it.
Or you're never going to tell me.
Decision on your
Or you're going to
part.
paint it a different
Yeah.
color and say it's a different bike, but not really, whatever.
Yeah.
And now your bike's worth a lot more money. Average price of those things now is close to $6 is average.
Plus that one, if I cleaned it up, that's a really good looking bike. It would not be hard to sell. It's a
Well,
head
the market is so soft now. There's been 4 R80 STs for sale on Facebook Marketplace, ranging from 52 to 78 for the last 5 weeks, and none of them have sold.
Yeah, prices are definitely going back down
Yep.
to where they should be.
Yep.
I don't think they'll ever be as low as there was.
No, but they've gotten a lot lower than they were.
Money is worth less than it
Right,
was. But I think it's a $5,000 bike.
I won't argue with you on that.
good looking.
$5,000
yeah.
would be a good deal on that bike at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's really good looking like mine, then it's worth more.
As long as we're not talking about the owner, I think we're okay.
Yeah. But I'm putting a TKC 80 on the rear.
So what happened is the TKC 80s aren't available, but a while back Mikey bought one probably 20 years ago. It's probably petrified by now. And he put it under his toolbox and he said, "This is my retirement." I said, "Yeah, by the time you retire it'll be so hard and you won't be able to use it."
It's already gained value.
Yeah. Right.
Here, I had an idea. So they're still selling them in the EU.
Yeah, we talked about this.
We buy them from the EU or Mexico, and then we sell them as decorative tires.
We saw them around Christmas time with Santa Claus's picture in the middle of it. There you go.
We're like,
A little thing that says for off-road use only.
I guess I can't do this now because you can't be like, and then you can do whatever you want with it.
Well, people are going to do whatever they want anyway. You can't stop them.
Yeah, this is just a tire for decoration. It's something
Right.
to put on your wall.
Right.
Yeah, if you're dumb enough to put it on your tire like I am, or your wheel like I am.
Well, what we decided was the issue on those tires really isn't an issue.
It's
And I'm
premature
still
cracking,
running the
yeah.
front one on mine, and I've had no problem with it.
It's a knobby. It's not
It's
going
a
to last
crack. They
very
said the
long.
knobby's cracked prematurely. They crack anyway. As soon as you ride the bike a couple of times, they're going to start cracking. I mean, it doesn't make the tire unsafe. I mean, I've still got one of mine on there now that I had when these came out and were warranted, and I haven't had any issue with it.
Yeah.
So, but you can't sell them anymore. It's a liability issue because they've already deemed them.
A lawsuit
Legal.
is so expensive. If someone dies
Sure.
riding your bike,
I wouldn't be happy about that. You know.
plus you got to look into like even if it doesn't cause a crash. If someone crashes and then they look at the tire and they see the premature cracking, they could come after you.
The premature cracking, it depends on what the date is on the tire. I mean, a lot of the tires we get are made this year, but some of them we get are not made this year. So where's that point where, well, you really shouldn't be selling it? Well, it hasn't been in the UVs, it hasn't been stressed, it's been sitting in a heated and air-conditioned warehouse. Who knows? So that'd be somebody's judgment call.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be involved in any of that anyway.
All right.
So we'll forget about that idea.
So I made this Gold Shark Motors t-shirt and I was going to release it, but I didn't think it was going to fly off the shelves. I didn't think it was I thought it was a decent t-shirt. But now I got someone drying up a TKC 80 shirt. It's going to be an ode to the TKC 80.
Once again today, I got stopped for my
His shirt?
his shirt. These two women and their two daughters just came up to me. I was eating outside at the Thai restaurant here, and they told me how much they liked the shirt. I told them where they could get it. They thanked me for it, and we're laughing and headed down the road. Which, speaking of cats, our buddy DeWitt, who's DeWitt, R100 GSPD's in there, REM's guitar tech. Yeah, DeWitt Burton.
Yeah,
DeWitt wanted to know why all our Cross the Lips end with stories about cats, which I wasn't aware of.
Does he watch it?
And he evidently has been. And I told him that the reason this happened is because my cats are the producers. And so it makes sense that somewhere along the lines, cats will always be mentioned in this broadcast.
Yeah.
And also, they have some buddies who like to watch, and they like to be acknowledged. So we're acknowledging all the cats out there.
All right.
I'm just telling you, he just sent me a text yesterday. Why does it always end with discussions about cats? I said, I asked my cats. My cats are the producers. I'll ask them.
I think that's just your go-to talking point when. Okay.
They don't all end that way. Sometimes they just end like that. Boom.
Yeah.
Done. Right. We run out of things to say. Run out of film. It starts flapping around on the reel. No. So you're working on a bike now that we did all this exact same stuff to 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the guy passed away. We never got paid for it. It said here. Got bought a year ago by. It was the guy who started the jobs for it was his dad's bike. That guy passed away. We got the title to the bike. The guy came in from like New Zealand or something and said, "Hey, that's the same bike my dad had," which was, so I want it. He bought it. So one dad kid, then the other dad's kid, and now it's set for about a year. And now we're going all the stuff we did before: tires, carburetor rebuilds, all the fluids. This time we built the transmission.
I didn't rebuild the carburetors.
Well, you need to take a look at them.
It looks fine.
Okay.
Only, I even took the idle out, see if I could.
We'll see when that runs. Whether
Yeah.
there's any gas that get, something in the holes inside.
Only thing I felt like the carburetors needed, and I already did, was there was a ridge on the slide needle where it was sitting, so I replaced this.
Both diaphragms should be replaced.
They felt good, but I can do that.
They're 10 years old.
Yeah, it's easy. I'll do it. Of course, we haven't had a ton of luck with our new 40 millimeter.
We've not used many of the 40 millimeter diaphragms.
That
We had
would-
problems with the 32s, and then they came out with a heavier one, which seems to have solved the problem.
I thought it was the 40s we had a problem with.
No.
you
Well,
sure?
the other day, Garrett had a problem with one. That was a real thin one. I don't know where it came from. They don't necessarily tear, but they lose their rigidity. And then when you go to throttle on, they have to fill themselves out before they raise themselves up, kind of like a sail waiting to be billowed. And they just didn't give us good throttle response. Now we notice that the thin ones are not coming anymore. We're getting a much thicker one that doesn't lose its shape like the other ones.
It was a 40. The one I had a problem with.
Right. Well, and Garrett had a problem with a 40 the other day. It tore.
Yeah.
But in general, we
This
don't.
was on the R100S that I worked on like a year and a half ago. That you know what bike I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
And then you worked on it, Garrett worked on it. But that was the bike I was talking about.
Okay. Well, lots have changed over there in that period of time to come up with a better material or a heavier material.
But now I'm working after you, so I'm seeing.
What, on that bike?
Yeah.
Shit.
There was only one thing I was. The clutch cable was had a big kink in it.
It's probably the one that came with the bike.
I like to run them looser. Or,
If you tie them to the frame, then they're hard to pull. And then almost all of them are a little too big and have that little loop down by the frame. There's not a whole lot you can do to it.
So the biggest concern with like just letting it free hang, because
Just
it does
catch it
feel
on something.
way better to pull is something grabbing it. But when you're on an RS or an RT, it's
inside
stuck
the
within
fairing.
the fairing.
So
So
it
I
can't
leave
get
them.
attached to anything, right?
I leave
Off-road
them-
it could.
Yeah.
Yep.
I run them through the triple
frame
tray
gusseting.
up there, and then I just send them down because it's going to be inside the fairing anyways. It's not like somebody's.
Well,
you're gonna catch them on
when the
the-
factory did them, they came around and they had plastic ties that held them to the outside of the frame.
Yeah.
But you can run them on the inside of the frame and leave them loose so they don't flop out. They move around some in there, but then they can't get caught, especially if you're running a dual sport bike. You're in the woods. The last thing you want is a big hook right here.
Yeah, which
So-
an RS is not one of those.
Right,
bikes, so.
right. But yours could be.
Yeah, but it feels real good
Good.
for a pre-1981 clutch, which is always harder to pull. They got that funky.
Well, the later ones they made, the handle was set up so that it came out and gave you better leverage at that braking point. The regular levers are straight, but they came out later, 81 and later, with a lever that came out, and that lever breaks it over at that point and makes it much easier to do. Look at the difference between the early levers and the late levers, and you'll see that the late levers stick out further. They got a different design.
You know, I've never thought about that because
Yeah.
the clutch assembly is so different. I just figured it was the clutch assembly.
No, well, you can put that. You can put that lever on
No.
any ones, but it's got to be a handlebar mounted unit. And the early ones prior to 80 didn't have handlebar mounted units. So unless you change the master to up above, or unless you change the throttle, the clutch side, and the switch, because they're different, then you wouldn't be able to put one on anyway. They won't fit on the early purchase. They won't fit on the late purchase. You falling asleep, Mikey?
A little bit.
That's how interesting this is.
It is interesting. This is a good episode.
Getting another.
This is a good episode. People are going to love this.
Oh, all right. Well, the question is not me. The question is, will my cats like it?
The producers.
Right, the producers, because you know they could cut us off at any time.